Hey everybody, welcome to another lesson of learning Japanese. Today we're going to cover a very simple lesson that consists basically of just using the word fu as a suffix after a noun in order to mean the style of noun or looks like noun or type of noun. And so what we have here is the word fu, just basically F-U-U, fu. And fu is basically just going to translate to basically like or in the manner of or in the style of or the way of. And we're going to go more into this actual word when we cover another really related grammar pattern that is fu ni, and it's basically going to be a kind of sibling grammar pattern to the yo ni grammar pattern that means in the way of or like or something along those lines. And again, we'll get into that in another lesson in the future. Right now, we're going to be using the word fu in a much more simple mechanic, and like I said, we're just going to plug it in right after a noun word, and it's going to do what it's going to do. So what we're going to do in this video with our example sentences is we're going to use one of two constructions, and that's going to be just using this grammar pattern outright. We'll put a noun, we'll put fu right after it, and then we'll just end the sentence and use that as a statement. So something fu, and then des or da, that's just making a statement that something is blank type or looks like blank or blank style. The other construction that we're going to use is the alternative that we've been doing in a lot of previous videos as well, in which we're going to be using this grammar pattern fu or noun fu to actually modify the subject of the sentence before the closing statement. So it'll be something along the lines of blank fu no subject of the sentence. So grammatically speaking, what we're doing there is using this grammar pattern as a kind of noun of a noun modification adjective to another noun. So what we'll do first is we'll do that first construction in which we're just making an outright statement, noun fu des or noun fu da, and that's what that is. Then after that, we'll go into the modifying the subject of the sentence with this grammar pattern, because that is slightly more harder. So that's all the explanation that's really needed at this point. So now let's just jump into some example sentences to get a better idea of this. So for our first example sentence, we have the line このコスチュームはkyuuketsuki風だ. And what this line is going to translate to is just basically this costume looks like a vampire, or this costume is a vampire style. That sounds kind of unnatural, but it does mean the same thing. So how about we break the sentence down bit by bit. First up, we have the word kono, which as always means this. It's going to be modifying the word right after it, which is the katakana word costume, and this is going to be costume. We have the particle wa marking the costume as the topic of the sentence. Then we have the noun word kyuuketsuki, and this is going to translate to vampire. So that's going to be the noun that we're going to use with our grammar pattern here. So we're going to put fu right after it. So kyuuketsuki fu is going to be vampire style or vampire type or looks like vampire. Then we end the sentence with da, the plain form of des. So all together, once again, このコスチュームは吸血鬼風だ is, what is that going to be? It's going to be this costume looks like a vampire, or this costume is vampire style, or this vampire, or what? This costume is the vampire type of costume. So it looks like a vampire. So now we're moving on to our second construction with the second example, and our line is 世界中で洋風の結婚式は人気がある. And what this line is going to translate to is just basically all around the world, Western style weddings are popular. So let's break down this sentence bit by bit. First up, we have 世界中, and this is going to be the word sekai, which means world, plus the word ju, which kind of means all across in this context. So all around the world, all across the world, all over the world, something along those lines. We have the particle marker de. Right after that, we have yofu, and this is going to be the word that means Western style. We see that the first kanji in that character is going to be the kanji for basically Western or West, and then the fu is the word that we're using with the grammar pattern. That's the default word, and so that's going to become Western style. We're going to use that as the first noun in our noun modification, so it's going to be modifying the next noun. So yofu no kekkon-shiki. Kekkon-shiki is going to be the word wedding plus the word ceremony, so kekkon plus shiki to become wedding ceremony. Then wedding ceremony of Western style more naturally becomes Western style wedding ceremony, or just Western style wedding if you want. We're going to mark the wedding that is Western style with particle wa because it's the topic of the sentence. And then we have ninki ga aru, which is just going to translate to is popular. So altogether, once again, all across the world, Western style weddings are popular. For our last example sentence, we're going to be doing the second construction again, but there is kind of a difference in that we're going to be using it to modify not the subject of the sentence, but the direct object of the sentence, which is pretty much the same thing. And for our line, we have あのヤンキー風の人を避けた方がいいよ. And what this line will translate to is just basically, it's best to avoid that delinquent type person. So let's break down this sentence bit by bit. First up, we have ano, which is going to be that. We have Yankee, which is going to be a kind of cultural term, but to loosely translate it, it's going to mean kind of delinquent or thug or something along those lines. And we're going to be using Yankee as the noun in our grammar pattern here. So right after that we put fu. So Yankee fu is going to be Yankee style or seemingly Yankee or Yankee type. Next up we have our direct object sentence, and that's going to be hito. So we mark hito with an O because it's a direct object and the subject of the sentence is implied to be you, the person I'm addressing. And the verb that we have in our sentence now is going to be saketa, and this is going to be the ta form of the verb sakeru, which means to avoid basically. So we have the ta form of the verb sakeru plus the phrasing hoga ii to mean it's better to avoid, or it's best to avoid, or you should avoid. And that's a grammar pattern that we've covered before, so check out the video of that if you don't remember how to do that. And so saketa hoga ii is going to be it's best to avoid. Best to avoid what? That Yankee type person. So now let's put the whole sentence together again, and we have ano Yankee fu no hito o saketa hoga ii yo, as it's best to avoid that Yankee type person or that Yankee looking person. And so there we have it, 3 really short and simple sentences exhibiting the grammar pattern that is a noun followed by the word fu to mean noun style or noun type or looking like noun, and it can modify another noun or it can just end the statement when you say that a subject is fu. And again, this should be a good introduction to the word fu, which at its core is basically used to compare things, to say something is in the same manner as something else or like something else. And we will definitely be revisiting this word in our future lessons covering future grammar patterns because it is very common. So stay tuned for that.